Over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Boris. And I want to thank that fellow down under. Thank you very much, pal. Appreciate it, Mr. Prime Minister. I'm honored today to be joined by two of America's closest allies, Australia and the United Kingdom, to launch a new phase of the trilateral security cooperation among our countries. As Prime Minister Morrison and Prime Minister Johnson said, I want to thank you for this partnership, your vision as we embark together on this strategic mission. Although Australia, the UK, and US partnership, AUKUS, it sounds strange in all these acronyms, but it's a good one. AUKUS, our nations will update and enhance our shared ability to take on the threats of the 21st century, just as we did in the 20th century, together. Our nations and our brave fighting forces have stood shoulder to shoulder for literally more than 100 years. Through the trench fighting in World War I, the island hopping in World War II during the frigid winters in Korea, and the scorching heat of the Persian Gulf. The United States, Australia, and the United Kingdom have long been faithful and capable partners, and we're even closer today. Today, we're taking another historic step to deepen and formalize cooperation among all three of our nations, because we all recognize the imperative of ensuring peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific over the long term. We need to be able to address both the current strategic environment in the region and how it may evolve, because the future of each of our nations, and indeed the world, depends on a free and open Indo-Pacific enduring and flourishing in the decades ahead. This is about investing in our greatest source of strength, our alliances, and updating them to better meet the threats of today and tomorrow. It's about connecting America's existing allies and partners in new ways and amplifying our ability to collaborate, recognizing there is no regional divide separating the interests of our Atlantic and Pacific partners. Indeed, this effort reflects the broader trend of key European countries playing an extremely important role in the Indo-Pacific. France, in particular, already has substantial Indo-Pacific presence and is a key partner and ally in strengthening the security and prosperity of the region. The United States looks forward to working closely with France and other key countries as we go forward. And finally, this initiative is about making sure that each of us has a modern capability, the most modern capabilities we need to maneuver and defend against rapidly evolving threats. AUKUS will bring together our sailors, our scientists, and our industries to maintain and expand our edge in military capabilities and critical technologies such as cyber, artificial intelligence, quantum technologies, and undersea domains. Now, as a key project under AUKUS, we are launching consultations with Australia's acquisition of conventionally armed nuclear-powered submarines for its Navy, conventionally armed. I want to be exceedingly clear about this. We're not talking about nuclear-armed submarines. These are conventionally armed submarines that are powered by nuclear reactors. This technology is proven, it's safe. And the United States and the UK have been operating nuclear-powered submarines for decades. I have asked Secretary Austin of the Department of Defense to lead this effort for the US government in close collaboration with the Department of Energy and the Department of State. Our governments will now launch an 18-month consultation period to determine every element of this program, from workforce to training requirements, to production timelines, to safeguards and non-proliferation measures, and to nuclear stewardship and safety to ensure full compliance with each of our nation's commitments under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. We'll all undertake this effort in a way that reflects the long-standing leadership in global non-proliferation and rigorous verification standards in partnership and consultation with the International Atomic Energy Agency. So I want to thank the Prime Minister Morrison and Prime Minister Johnson for their friendship, but mostly important for their leadership and partnership as we undertake this new phase of our security cooperation. And the United States will also continue to work with ASEAN and the Quad, as was stated earlier, our 5 treaty allies and other close partners in the Indo-Pacific, as well as allies and partners in Europe, and around the world to maintain a free and open Indo-Pacific and build a future of peace, opportunity for all the people of the region. We're joining together, where partnerships are getting stronger. This is what we're about. I want to thank you all, and I look forward to seeing both of you in person very soon, I hope. Thank you. Thank you.
That is quite the announcement this morning. A bit of history too, forming that trilateral agreement between the US, the UK and Australia. Those speeches, very short speeches there from Scott Morrison, Boris Johnson and Joe Biden as well, basically establishing nuclear submarines. At pains to say, though, they're not going to be armed with nuclear weapons and resisting perhaps an attempt to form any kind of nuclear industry here in Australia, at least for now anyway. That was from Scott Morrison saying that a short time ago. Let's go to Annalise Nielsen. She is at the White House at the moment. Annalise, good morning. Hello again. A few things to pick through there. I suppose the first thing is this is all about China. And secondly, does Joe Biden really know our Prime Minister's name?
Well, it's a little bit AUKUS, you might say, but yes, he did get the name after glancing down his sheet there. But the significance of this moment cannot be underestimated for the Australia-US alliance and the UK coming in there as well. This is a significant show of force around the Indo-Pacific, as they mentioned, and this treaty is one for the history books, and it comes notably on the anniversary of the AUKUS alliance in its 70th year. What this is going to mean is new nuclear capability. As we heard there is going to be no domestic production of nuclear power to power those submarines, and there's not going to be any nuclear weapons either, so it won't be in breach of any of our proliferation treaties. But you cannot also underestimate the significance of the US sharing this technology. The only other time they've shared this technology was in 1958, this nuclear propulsion technology, which was then with the United Kingdom as well. A very strong show of force between the three countries there as they look to bolster not just these nuclear submarine capabilities in the area, but also sharing on things like cyber security, and that's going to be quite critical because now the Australian government's made quite a strong stance on where it stands in that region, but these nuclear submarines, as we heard, won't be online for decades to come in the best estimates, although we are waiting for more specifics on that count. What we do know is that the Biden administration has said this is the most significant development in Australia's strategic capability in generations, and that wouldn't be something many people in Australia would disagree with. This is quite a strong pivot towards the US when it comes to the aggression we've seen from China in the region, and they'll certainly be taking note. We also know that this is going to be quite fundamental for Australia and its British counterparts as well, because Britain is going to have a stronger showing, especially maritime capabilities around the region. But what we are going to see is significant investment there. Also confirmation, we heard that those construction capabilities will stay in South Australia. They won't be getting rid of any of the construction there on the Collins-class submarines, even though that $90 billion contract looks like it's all but out the window.
Okay, so just back up on that a little bit, Annalise, from what we know so far. So the attack class submarine deal with the French, is that off?
Well, we didn't quite get confirmation of that there, did we? We're going to have to get a fuller confirmation of that from the Prime Minister. Sure. What we do know is what we've heard from the American side so far, and they are keen to share this technology. That's what they've said is underpinning this entire new alliance.
And just back up, you just touched on this too, about a time frame. Has there been mention on how long it might be able to take, a rough estimate? Because a big part of this is the fact that the attack class submarines, there's been these cost blowouts, and there's been the delays as well that was suggesting that we might not get them until in the middle of, or about 2035. So this is going to be a lot shorter than that, we can assume.
You could assume, but those are all questions that need to be asked. There is the theoretical possibility of retrofitting existing capability, but that seems quite unlikely considering the technology that will be needed. There must be some kind of assumption that they can quickly distribute this kind of technology to Australia in this time, but it seems like they've elegantly sidestepped any issues of developing nuclear capability in Australia, because that would be the more toxic political debate to be had. Also, if they had to dispose of any kind of nuclear waste, it looks like that's been sorted as well. But these are all questions that do beg to be asked. We had a briefing from senior officials within the Biden administration, and it was there that they shared that this is going to be a very strong sharing of technological capabilities between the two countries, and this is quite unprecedented for the US government, and they said it shows the special relationship that Australia has with the US.
Yeah, probably won't be any kind of discussion about nuclear technology or a nuclear industry here in Australia, at least before the election anyway. Annalise, thank you. No doubt this will be provocative towards China today, so we're clicking refresh on the Global Times page. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Annalise.